Hey guys, what's going on today? Bojo here, and I'm at the EA Studios, as you can tell, in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. I am alongside David Pritchett, the presentation producer here at EA Sports for NHL 18. Going to be giving you guys a little bit of an interview today, and I'm pretty much just going to let you take the reins and pretty much describe, the whole process of audio creation, especially in the 3-on-3 mode that's going to be new for NHL 18. So
yeah,
let's take control.
Absolutely. So for threes, it was an interesting challenge for us because we wanted to make sure that at the core of the experience, it was still a true, authentic hockey experience. Mm-hmm. But we also wanted to up kind of what we've typically been capable of doing inside of a hockey game. So we wanted, to be okay with having fire explosions. We wanted to be okay to just have a single guy doing commentary and maybe cracking the odd joke, but we didn't want it to be cheesy. So every decision that we made kind of surrounding, how the tone of the voice inside of threes and whether or not we're going to have explosions and everything else came back to, is it still grounded in reality and are we still delivering an authentic hockey experience? And I think we've pretty much accomplished that. So kind of give you an example here. The voice of threes, he does crack jokes and he is a little bit more of a hype man as opposed to a pure play-by-play or an analyst. How we get away with that is we don't put him up in the booth. We actually just have him in and amongst the crowd. So when you actually hear him inside of the threes mode, you can actually hear all the echoes. Like he's there for the crowd in the game, if that makes sense. He's not there for the broadcast. So that allowed us to hype up kind of his tone and personality a little bit more than we'd normally be able to get away with, with Doc and Eddie inside of an authentic 5-on-5 game. So we kind of established this fiction for threes that, it's a threes road show. And if the NHL was actually to put on this show, how would they do it? They'd probably have trucks that come in and, have this setup, this small rink setup, that they can put inside a regular-sized rink. And that's exactly how we built it. We could have built, brand new arenas that were just a small-sized rink and the crowd begins right outside the peripheral there of the actual small rink. But we said, no, forget that. We're going to build new rinks, but we'll make them 5-on-5 size, and then we'll take the 3-on-3 rink and actually inset it, and we'll put matting down to cover up the ice surface. So everything is possible in the real world if you wanted to actually put on this show.
Yeah, I mean, I've had my hands on with it so far, and just by the look of it, all the colors popping out so much well. It's so colorful. It has that arcadey style feel to it, and I feel like that's what a lot of people are going to like to it. That you're going to get the NHL 18 experience, but in this mode that gives you that arcade feel that I think a lot of people really want from the game. They want the competitive side to it, but they also want that really fun aspect that they can just, bring a couple of their friends in and, enjoy it with the quirkiness and the craziness that's going to bring to the gameplay.
Exactly, and I'm glad you said, they still get the NHL 18 experience, because that was very important to us. We didn't want to, for this year's iteration, to create, something where we have crazy power-ups on the ice and everything else that allowed people to, suddenly become 3 times as big, or we didn't want that, because we have a really, really solid game of hockey for NHL 18. So to your point, we just wanted to amp it up just a little bit. We wanted to make the colors pop. We wanted the announcer to be a little bit over the top and funny and everything else. We wanted fire and explosions, but it all comes back to the hockey experience. And the hockey experience, yes, it is accessible and arcadey enough that for people that have potentially lapsed, that haven't bought the game for several years, they should feel at home in this experience. But for those people that buy the game year after year, the game that they know and love is still very much there. We haven't corrupted it in any kind of way. It is still very much present and intact.
Yeah, exactly. Because as I mentioned before, probably in one of my other videos to you guys, that most people who want to play EASHL, they don't have the 5 or the 6 friends that they need to go online. They have maybe the 1 or 2 people that they always just tend to play with. And I feel like just doing this, having them the ability to play this mode, brings a whole new kind of experience to it as well, bringing that they can have, once again, they can be competitive and they can have fun with it as well. Just the fact that I've had my hands on, it's craziness. There's no rules. You can pretty much do whatever you want. If you guys have ever played the old NHL hits things, minus the power-ups. That's basically what it is almost like.
It's definitely arcade-inspired, that's for sure. I think we could even take it further if we wanted to. That really depends on the feedback from the community, I would say. But we did make sure to kind of straddle that line where we didn't want to go too far with it, but we still didn't want to shy away from, bringing out the most exciting parts of the hockey experience. So pretty excited for consumers to get their hands on it and to start giving us feedback so we can continue to fine-tune the experience for sure.
Yeah. Going along with just the other modes that are in the game, I've really noticed, most definitely last year, that the audio quality of just the whole entire atmosphere of the rinks and just the way the crowd sounds, the way the pucks are hitting the boards, the way just the on-ice sounds that happen game in and game out. I feel like that's being really, really improved on year in and year out. I don't play with headphones all that much anymore, but just having the noise come out from the TV, it really sounds a whole lot better than it has in the past.
I really appreciate you saying that, actually. I will say, though, you want to put headphones on, at least for a little bit of the Threes experience, because when you score a money puck goal, and your audience probably won't know what that is yet, maybe, but when you score a 3 money puck goal, you get this like crazy, what we call an Uber explosion, and the camera shakes and everything, and it rattles the entire stadium. So you want to hear that not just through your TV speakers, have a nice 5.1 or 7.1 surround, or headphones, and experience it the way it's supposed to be experienced. But to your other point, appreciate you saying that, because our philosophy for the sound inside of NHL, which has been, developing based on user feedback over the last couple of years, has really been how do we kind of walk that line of giving the user the in-stadium experience as well as the broadcast experience. So we don't just want it to be true to the broadcast. We also want it to feel like you're actually in the arena. So it's neither authentic to true broadcast, nor does it feel like you're actually in the arena, because that would be too limiting. It's somewhere in between, and we've been fine-tuning that, bringing up the sounds of the hits a little bit. Letting the crowd drown out Doc and Eddie at critical points, when the crowd really erupts in an overtime goal, things like that. And I appreciate you saying that, because we're putting a lot of work into that, and that is a subtle improvement that I think hopefully people will notice. If they won't notice it, they'll at least feel it, I hope.
Just building the entire sound of the game that we are playing.
Yeah, I can explain Threes a little bit more, because that one is so fresh, and we literally built that up from the ground up this year, which was a lot of work. I think it's a 144-page script. Before we even went into the recording studio, we auditioned, I think it was 25 people for the voice of Threes, and ultimately we found the perfect person in Jason Simpson. Really happy about that. But really, even before any of that begins, what we do is figure out what is the fiction of the mode. What are we trying to accomplish here, both from a fun perspective, but what does it mean? Like, are we allowed to have, people with jets on their skates? Is that okay in this mode? What is the fiction of the mode? And ultimately, no. That's not something that we allow, but you have to figure out the fiction of the mode, and then everything that you do, whether it be cameras or whether it be audio, is tested against that fiction, right? So can we have jets on their skates? Well, let's look at the fiction that we landed on. No, we can't. That doesn't fit within that world. So you have to have a solid idea of what is acceptable and what is not, and that really comes back to the user experience. What is the user experience we're trying to provide?
What one word would you describe NHL Threes? One word.
Shoot. I would say... enhanced isn't the word. Amped up. Can I say amped?
Amped up with a hyphen in it.
Yes, okay,
we'll make it one word.
Amped up is the right word, because like I said at the beginning, it is still a true authentic hockey experience, but it's amped up quite a bit. Not amped up too far, we don't think, but it is amped up quite a bit, just all in the name of fun. So hopefully consumers really feel that. I do have to say as well, that outside of Threes, as the presentation producer, I do have to talk about cameras a little bit.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I've loved, one thing I have noticed is that face-off camera angles. There's like a bunch of different new face-off camera angles that you guys will see in the game, whether they're like being portrayed in from the corner boards to even top head, overhead, the face-offs, they look really, really nice this year.
Appreciate you saying that. I think we added, it was just shy of 2,500 new cameras this year.
Sweet.
And last year we started that journey, but they were mostly in the intro to a game. This year we wanted most of these cameras to be in your face, regardless of whether you were skipping through sequences and everything else. So when I say 2,500 cameras, that is a lot, considering that they're all hand-authored for the most part. So what we wanted to accomplish with adding these new cameras is really give a sense of the differentiation of the multitude of environments that you're going to be going into. So what you're going to see is not only are there going to be authentic broadcast cameras from the actual angles. Like if you're in Montreal, you're going to see the proper face-off camera from the same angle as CBC's telecast. But we also have a lot of cameras that are dudes with a camera on their shoulder, and they're in and amongst the crowd. So what that does is not only creates or gives you a sense of the excitement level of the crowd in any given moment, but it gives you a sense of the space. So what that means is when you're grinding your 80-plus game schedule in franchise mode, and you're going from stadium to stadium, no longer is it just going to feel like same environment, just different ice surface. You're actually going to feel and get to know how the architecture is different from environment to environment, and it keeps the experience fresh. And like I said, get you better in touch with the excitement level of the crowd. So I'm pretty excited for people to experience that, and I encourage you to play in as many different environments as possible. The main cameras that we focused on, you can tell I'm pretty excited about this, because I do think it does change the experience quite a bit.
It does. I'm a huge fan of aesthetics. Every time something, whether I score like a really good goal or I screw up, make a really bad penalty or something like that, just going into the instant replay mode and just panning around and seeing the entire atmosphere of the arena. This game looks amazing when you take the time just to pause it, just look around and see it. Even when you're creating like your stadiums or you're creating logos or creating your own custom team or anything like that. Even when you said franchise mode, like those promo nights that you had last year, whether it was like a bobblehead night and you had like the bobblehead sitting on the edge ring on the outside of the boards. It's awesome. It looks awesome when you take the time to actually look at it. It's a really good looking game.
Yeah, so our goal this year exactly was to try to do some of that work for the user so that they didn't just have to go into user control replay, but they would be fed that all of the different camera angles throughout their entire experience. And specifically look for goal replay cameras. There's a lot of new ones there for like I said, authored for each individual stadium. Post whistle cameras, and how we define that is after a goal, as the players are coming together for the celebration or skating away to their bench, we have unique handcrafted cameras. Or the face-off cameras, of course, which are going to be the most noticeable because you're going to see those regardless of whether you're one of those people that just skip through all of our hard work. No, I'm just joking.
Be that one guy online that watches every single replay.
That's me. That's me, by the way. It's like, I can't skip over this work. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's just like, even going back to like threes, there's like so many different like pans and zooms from either when you score a goal and you get that awesome graphic up that shows the scores, and then it just like zooms back out, and you can see the entire thing, and all the fans celebrating.
They'll all be different from stadium to stadium as well, right? Like, if in the first stadium inside of ESHL, a camera that is in amongst the crowd, that is close in on the action after a goal is scored, and then pulls back to show the crowd, well, that's going to look different inside of the Staples Center, because that camera is positioned 100 feet higher. Do you know what I mean? And it's literally a guy sitting or standing where the concourse is, and you're going to be able to see when he pulls that camera out that, he's actually in the concourse. Whereas in previous years, most of our cameras were what we call procedural cameras, which are fine, which definitely serve a purpose, but mostly you can't really tell where the camera is actually placed in the environment, and it never certainly pulls back far enough to really give you some. Because the reality is a lot of those are kind of floating above the crowd, but these new cameras really don't do that at all. We try to hand place them all in handcraft to give a sense of, we try to even instill a sense of imperfection in the cameras. So they're not going to perfectly, pan with the camera as he skates around. Or, when he does a quick zoom in as the player is in on a breakaway, he loses his focus a little bit. So we try to instill a little of this imperfection. And I think we've had great results with it, and it's probably something we're going to continue to do, assuming that the consumers, of course, like it as well.
Hopefully you guys do. Have any possible improvements to like the specific arena atmospheres that we've had in the past, whether it be like I don't know, for example, maybe like the Islanders fans after the goal are always chanting like yes, or maybe we could even get like the Nashville players after they score a goal be like chanting the goalie's name during the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think that's probably like one of the more notable ones to note Nashville, especially after the playoff run that they had and the craziness that their fans showed.
Yeah.
Getting something like that into the game, I think would be, I think that's
I agree with you.
It would be a really good thing to have, even for every individual NHL team at that.
Yeah, those are great suggestions. What we do continue to do is look at how the crowd is dressed in the playoffs and try to mimic that. So of course you're going to have your Winnipeg Sea of White, but Nashville, I mean, they had their yellows on throughout that playoff drive, and that is replicated. As far as calling out the goalie's name and things like that, those are great ideas. The one-offs are quite expensive for us. Not to say we shy away from them, because of course we do have the yes chant and Barclays, but not something we invested a lot in this year. But I will say that for ESHL, for example, you can do things like, as you know, in San Jose during the power play, they do the chomp. You can actually assign one of several fictional chomps. They're not chomps. They're other things. But we allow you to assign, during a power play, my crowd is going to do this. So we did focus on things like that. But definitely something I want to focus on more in the future, especially things like calling out the opposing goalie's name. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Okay, I got to ask.
Yeah.
Vegas.
Vegas.
What was it like getting this new team into the NHL and, actually going in there and creating this new team that everybody's going to enjoy this year?
So from the T-Mobile Center, we don't always get to go visit the actual arena, but we were fortunate enough to actually be able to go down to Vegas for a couple of days, and we took a tremendous amount of photos. We also took 3D photos that allowed us to a certain extent, reconstruct the actual environment inside of our 3D programs. Not to say that there isn't still a lot of manual work there, but I personally believe that we have one of the most authentic. I'm actually really proud of most of our NHL environments. I think they're best in class, but the T-Mobile is a cut above even some of the best ones inside of our team.
I was going to say, because it's a new team, you gotta get that right as much as possible.
You have to. And you get the cameras all the way up to the rafters. They've got these little purple/pink crystal-like things that jut out at the very top of the roof. Well, it's so authentic that I got to get cameras up there and shoot the action from up there. So when users actually go in and play in Vegas, they're going to see just how authentic this thing is. And it is from head to toe authentic. I'm not even joking when I say that the carpet in the upper bowl is pretty much authentic. It's crazy, but we really wanted to see just how detailed we can make this thing.
How much customization are people going to actually be able to do in this game, going off of last year? Anything new improvements that they can do, customizing arenas or teams or anything along that sort?
It's a great question. I think lots of plans for that in the future, for sure. But we did also add some new functionality this year. One of the criticisms that we got last year was that, at the heart of your creation mode, create team, is we need more logos. So we have more logos, a lot more logos. And I'd like to add more as we continue, but certainly we've addressed that to a certain extent this year by adding a ton more logos. And I think people will be surprised with not just the fictional fantasy logos that we added, but also with the authentic ones that we were able to add that allow you to customize authentic logos as well. In addition to that, we added a whole bunch of new songs that people can use for their goal songs or for the power play or for the end of game or for the intro. A ton of new songs there as well. We also added, a small one is the goalpost recoloring. That's a small thing.
Yep, I saw that in the trailer just the other day.
Saw it in the trailer, and I saw some people calling it out. That one seems a little bit superfluous, but the reality is the ECHL has blue goalposts. So we were
So
creating.
why can't my EASHL team have, purple goalposts?
Exactly. So we were creating this tech to allow for blue goalposts inside of the ECHL, and it's like, you know what? It wouldn't take very much to actually expose this to the end user in creation zone. In addition to that, I had already mentioned, allowing fan customization for power plays. That's something that we added this year.
The mascots.
The mascots. Thank you very much. Oh my
fact
goodness.
you can even create your own mascot this year
You can
is
create your
crazy.
own mascot. Yeah, you can create your own mascot, which is pretty awesome. Not only do you just, you kind of select how he's going to look from his head and his body, but fully recolorable. And when I say fully recolorable, like, double-digit zones that you're going to have to go in there and customize. Or, we do make it simple as possible, but if you really want to create a cardinal with purple eyes and pink little dots, you can do that.
You can make the craziest abomination that you guys can
Exactly.
probably think of in
Nightmare
your mind.
stuff. Nightmare stuff.
Nightmare fuel.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see just people's response to that because, if the response is good, I think that we could extend that even further by giving them even more customizable options. But we'll see. I think that's the majority inside of creations. Oh, the new stadiums, of course.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So THREES has...
There's like tons of them that we were seeing. Tons that are available. Tons that you guys have to unlock by playing the mode more that you do. You'll unlock all these crazy new stadiums. Even some actual real NHL stadiums kind of shrunken down.
Exactly. Yeah, I can think there's 7 new fantasy stadiums specifically for the THREES mode. But like I was saying earlier, we made them with the full rink size anyway. So we made sure to get those available inside of ESHL, and those will be selectable. I think the first one that you can unlock is level is the third environment you can unlock is the start of the THREES environment. So you'll have to play with the ones from last year first for the first 2, the community rinks. But then you can start to unlock the THREES ones. And I think people will be really excited about kind of the options we have.
Anything specific presentation-wise that people can look out for in that new campaign mode in THREES as well?
I think it's just everything we've talked about. It's, how we support things like the money puck mode, right? Not only is there unique speech around that, but like I was saying, there's this Uber fire explosion thing that goes off only on +3 goals. So look out for those kind of things for sure. But I'm pretty content. I think we've got a nice complete presentation package around all things 3, whether it be versus online or whether it be the campaign mode. I feel like it's pretty complete top to bottom.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't wait for them to get control of that. I've had a blast. I've only played it a couple of times, but literally it's just, like I said, it's fast-paced, it's action-y, it's crazy, it's uber, what was the word?
Amped.
Uber amped.
Yeah.
That's the word for it. So, Dave, thank you much for talking to me.
No problem.
Very much.
Pleasure.
And release date again is September.
I should know that.
The beta comes out next week. Hopefully this goes up by then. But if it doesn't, then it's in the past. But we got a really good expectation for what you guys can see in the new THREES mode and pretty much all across NHL 18. So thank you guys for watching. Dave, thank you. I'm gonna go back in there and start playing again right now.
You too.